a lot of times from people. You say, "Yo, I want to play overseas. Can you help me get overseas?" And I said, "Well, do you have any film, or do you have a resume? Have you created a resume?" And sometimes I'm really shocked that people think it's just that easy to just because you have skills and you can play back home in the States, or at a local recreation league, or on a pro-am team, that you can come over and be a professional. Although you might have skills and stuff like that, still as an employer, they want to go with somebody just like any other job. They want to go with somebody who's most qualified, most experienced. I've been asked that question by lots of people, and although I want to help, you still have to be realistic. You can't go from A to C without going through B first. If you don't have a game film, or if you don't have a resume or college experience, some kind of college, I say, you don't have to play at North Carolina or Duke. But if you don't have some college experience, and if you don't have game film, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to go on and play professional.
The whole time where I've been playing overseas, of course, during the summers, I was always coming home, and it's a matter of staying active. It's a matter of still trying to progress your career to the point where you want it. So a lot of the times, players often go to NBA summer camps, NBA summer leagues, training sections, and stuff like that. In 2007, I was fortunate enough to go to one with the Atlanta Hawks. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But from there,
my talents over to the Middle East. Signed a contract in Kuwait City.
As you guys can imagine, the Middle East is culturally
different than America, or even in Europe, or South America for that matter. So it took a lot of getting adjusted. I played 4 years in the Middle East, and most recently in Qatar.
But for 3 years, I was playing with the same club in Kuwait City. The league in Kuwait only had 12 teams. The locals, they were decent. Not the same level, nowhere level as Europe, South America, but they were decent players. Now, keep in mind too, there were some clubs that were more famous in Kuwait than others, more popular, and a lot of the good locals that played on the same team. So Al Qadsiya, Al Jawra, Kuwait club, and Al Arbi was the most popular teams. Basically primarily because of their soccer success in their soccer teams. But so a lot of the local basketball players, they wanted to play for those particular clubs.
Kuwait style basketball is definitely different. Definitely different. Everything from the refereeing to actually the rules of the league. Now in Kuwait, you can have 2 professional import players, but only one can play on the court at a time.
Clubs that sign professional imports, Americans, usually one center and one guard. And so when I was I played guard myself. And when I was in the game, the center was sit out, and when he was in there, I was sitting out. All the professionals in Kuwait kind of felt the same as I did. It was good but bad in the fact that you can only really maybe play 20 minutes a game because you're sharing
minutes with the other professional, but at the same time it was good because you're only playing 20 minutes a game because you're sharing minutes with the professional, so it allowed your body to rest.
When I arrived there, they were the second to last team in the league. So there was a lot of room for improvement. And I came in with the same time where they had a new coach, and so it was a good opportunity to put my foot into the Middle East. And the first year I actually did exceptionally well based on the circumstances. Although our record wasn't great, I excelled personally, and I was actually the leading scorer in Kuwait National League that year, averaging more than 30 points a game. Another difference, especially coming from NCAA or in America, that the refereeing is, these guys are professional refs and stuff like that. Overseas, you might find the referees to be very, very difficult or very, very bad. In Kuwait, the referees were very, very bad. I would say in general, they're very bad. But imagine if you only refereed in one particular style of play, and you never have seen other styles of play. So that's kind of how it was in Kuwait. Whereas those referees that never really had experience refereeing the game outside on an international level, it was just strictly seeing the Kuwaitis, how the Kuwaitis played, how the Kuwaitis moved, how, anticipating fouls.
During my time playing in Kuwait, I befriended the other professionals. We had like
A small community. Oftentimes we would go out to eat after the games, or on the weekends we'd hang out and to have some kind of social life.
that was good. Yeah, that brings another point about the food abroad. Of course, all the food difference, but particularly in the Middle East,
As an American, I didn't miss any of the cuisine because a lot of the restaurants and stuff were just the same as
back home. Everything from your Applebee's, Ruby Tuesdays, Pizza Huts, etc., etc. All your fast food, which I particularly don't eat, but they have all that stuff there. In my opinion, the future of Middle East basketball, it has a lot of potential, although there still needs to be a lot of work that needs to be done. But you take an example like
a country like Qatar, who's actually pumping
a lot of resources and time and effort and also money into developing sports. They also had the Arab Olympics in Doha last summer, which was
about, I think it was 14 different countries came and competed against each other. They call it the Arab Olympics. They had all types of different sports: track and field, basketball, volleyball, and lots of different sports. So it was good. But I think that the future is going to depend on the governance. For instance, like Kuwait, where the country where I played in, I don't think that as far as basketball wise, that it can really develop until they change some of the rules. The only one professional import on the court at a time is really a hindrance to the actual development of their league. So I guess they wanted to do it in order to try to promote the national Kuwaitis, the local Kuwaitis, and try to give them a lot of experience playing and stuff.
But like I said, you can only, in order to be the best, you have to play against the best. And so playing against each other is not really going to develop their skills and experience. Countries like Lebanon, Iran, Jordan, they compete really well internationally on the international scene, whether it's the FIBA qualifiers or even the Olympics and stuff like that. So those countries have a strong basketball presence in the world. And I think the Gulf states, they have the potential, but they need to do more. Because of the global recession, a lot of countries in Europe and other places across the world have kind of cut back, and they haven't got as much sponsorships for sporting teams. In the Middle East, that's not really the case, because obviously
in the Middle East and those Arab nations, the predominant asset is oil. A lot of
athletes have shown interest in coming to the Middle East to earn a living. My advice for somebody who is trying to play in the Middle East would, number one, mentally prepare yourself for the cultural changes. Also, like I said, the actual rules in the Middle East can be difficult. So kind of mentally prepare yourself for that prior to going in. Also, this is a very important one. So everything that you want to have in the contract prior to going in, you want everything to be in the contract. You never want to say, hey, once you come over here, we'll promise we'll give you a house, we'll promise to give you a car, internet will be taken care of, don't worry, don't worry. Unfortunately, you need to have everything in paper, on paper, everything written down. That's very important. Also, something else is very important is that make sure that unless the contract is in English, that you don't sign it. That goes for anywhere in the world, whether it's you're playing in South America or if you're playing in Asia. Why would you sign something that you don't know how to read? So if the contract is in Arabic and you can't read Arabic, I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you do not sign a contract unless it gets translated into English. Also, a lot of these Gulf states in the Arabian Gulf are very, very close to each other. So say, remember when I was in Kuwait, we had 2 days off over the weekend. I used to fly down to Bahrain to go visit my friend, and that was about actually a 35, 40-minute flight.
Also from Dubai to Qatar to Oman.
All these places are, with no more than an hour flight away. So I definitely encourage people to, while they're in that part of the world, to
check out the other countries, because every country is different.
Well, hopefully this video has been informative to some people out there. If you do have any questions or comments, please comment in the box below. If you like this video, click like. And once again, thank you for listening. And this is Yusef Aziz signing off. Peace.